Talking about
You
Guda in the building, man. Guda in the building.
you already know what's going on,
Uh,
EB.
let's get right to it. That's what's going on. Okay. It's your brother EB, Success After Lockdown, man. In the building, man, with my brother, Mr. Samuel Guda Smith, man. In the building, man. Long time no see.
Long time, EB.
Congratulations on your release. You know what I mean? We ain't see each other yet since we both been home, but it's all good, man. We in the building.
You already know what it is. Definitely good to see you on this side of the fences and the walls. You know,
Yeah.
proud of everything that you're doing. You know,
Same here.
standing up.
No question. That's what we do, man. That's what we do, man. Community, not cages, man.
Absolutely,
Building, man.
absolutely. This is exactly what we do. Paying it forward.
That's right, man. No question, man. How's everything been with you, man?
Uh, you know, Things have been what they've been. Life has been lifing. Ups and downs, hurdles to overcome. But what I can say is that overall, it's a great feeling. It's a great feeling to have to experience these things and have to work these things out and solve these problems in a way that doesn't involve me being on somebody's count.
That's right. On this side.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right, man. So when you came home,
I actually came home on April 17th in 2014. So actually, this April will be 10 years I've been home.
nice,
So,
nice.
for me, that's a celebration and a revelation. I started going back and forth through Spofford and all the way up since about 1985.
Yeah,
Um,
man. That's a milestone, man.
yeah, from 85 up till 2014, I had never been on the streets longer than 2 years.
Yeah, let's get into that, man, if we could.
Of
Kuda, let's
course,
get into that, man. So if you could just share with our followers and family, man, like, you know, how was it growing up? Where you grew up at? You know what I mean? How was the life of Guda, man, growing up as a child? Where you grew up, two family home, two parent home, one. Talk about it.
you know, I was I was raised in Harlem, been from Harlem, product of Harlem, been in Harlem my whole life. Um,
HBO.
you already know what it is, B.
Right.
You already know. Um, so being born in Harlem, I was born in '71. At the time, my mom was going through what she was going through. She was young. She was only 16 at the time. And a lot of programs that they have now didn't really exist back then. So when my mom's had me, she wasn't really in a position. So I ended up in foster care. So I was in
Okay.
foster care for a couple of years. Then my grandmother came and got me, my mother's mother. And that's basically who raised me, my grandmother. My foster parents ended up becoming my godparents. When I got Christian, they lived out in St. Albans, Queens. So I would spend my summers out there and the rest of the time, like school year and all that other stuff, in Harlem. At
Mm.
this time, there was a contrast between St. Albans, Queens, and Harlem. In St. Albans, my godmother, my godfather, they had a house, they had a car. I seen him get up and go to work. There was the family. Um, my godmother, shout out to her, she just recently passed in October.
God bless her soul.
She that family was tight knit. So I seen all that and I had all that. But then when I came back to Harlem, 132nd Street between Lenox and Fifth, I lived in Lenox Terrace, ran in Lincoln, ran on Lenox Avenue, eventually ended up over here on the east side on 126 in Lexington. All of this was a different life. It was a
Mm-hmm.
different life, you know. Um, think about when I got to junior high school, I was always good academically, always good academically. Uh, by the time I got to junior high school, I started noticing the difference in some of the people that I was around and some of the people that I was with. I had friends that had their mothers and their fathers. I had friends that may have just had their mothers, or friends that may have just had their fathers. And because they were their parents, there was a difference. Like they used to come to school, they would be dressed nice, they would have different things and stuff like that. And
Mm-hmm.
what I didn't understand was that my grandmother really couldn't afford all that stuff because she was on a fixed income. But what she did do is that she always provided. So I never went without anything. I was
Nice.
never without anything. I can't say that I went hungry because I didn't, but she just couldn't keep pace with some of the other people that I was going to school with. So me being me, um, and seeing the influences of my neighborhood and what I thought was the right perspective, I got into selling drugs. You know,
No
uh,
question.
I should have known that selling drugs wasn't going to be a great career for me because the first day I went out on the block, I got popped.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got locked up the
Absolutely.
first day.
No question. I want you to finish sharing that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just want to backtrack for a minute because I think it's important for our followers and society to know that
Absolutely.
a lot of times we grow up with so much similarities, like you don't really see the difference. And I say that across this country, in state for state, you know, the streets that we all grew up with in have a lot of similarities. So when you said that you was born in 71, look, I was born in 71. When you talked about, you know, being in Harlem, I was raised in the Bronx, not born and raised in the Bronx. You know what I'm saying? When you talk
Absolutely.
about and we 71 babies, and when you talk about your mom's or grandmother, look, I was raised with my grandmother. You know what I'm saying? And that's just how it was. My mother was out on drugs, doing drugs. She loved
Mm-hmm.
us to death. She loved us to death. But you know, a lot of times the drugs consumed her to where, you know, that money be gone once she get it. You know what I mean? And so my grandmother, she made sure that we wanted for nothing. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? She made sure that we had the safari suits Easter Day and
Yeah.
Christmas, we had the new game. You know, she made sure that, you know what I mean, even under our
Absolutely.
circumstances. So it's just ironic. It's just, you know, amazing. I wouldn't even say ironic. It's just amazing how, you know, when I sit here and I listen to you and I listen to other brothers and sisters, how our
Mm-hmm.
stories are so similar. But just, you know, take it for us there, man, and just talk about it.
Oh yeah, like our stories, right, tend to mirror, and a lot of our stories tend to mirror, especially depending on the time that you were born. Like for us, that was born like in the early '70s, you know, during that time, I understand, um, heroin was still a big thing. Heroin was a big thing. Um, Most of our families that we came from were our parents were like people that became the first generation of people almost that were here. A lot of our families would transition from southern places and from other places, you know, and with that, the city life and the things that went on in the city, it was different. And that's why like a lot of us ended up being with our grandparents because our grandparents still had that mentality of familyship, of community, and being together. Because most of our grandparents weren't that far removed from slavery.
That's right.
So they were directly taught how it's important to keep the family unified, to keep the family together, and not be separated by the systems that were in place. And how that's why a lot of us, when they during that migration from the South, for our parents and our grandparents, we have these aunts, we have these uncles that if we trace back, it's like it's because they shared the migration experience. They shared this
Absolutely.
experience of migrating here. So
Facts.
because that shared experience, that sense of family was what was needed because we needed each other to survive. We needed each other to support. So our parents came from that. So when we were born from that, the grandparents were like, "Oh nah, no, you can't have him. I'm coming back for my grandson. I'm grabbing my grandson." It may be difficult, but it wasn't more difficult than being on a plantation. It wasn't more difficult than having a child snatched from you and you couldn't do anything to get them back. So now that I have an option and this choice, nah, you can't have them. We're squeezing this 1-bedroom apartment, however many of us, and make it work before I give my son away or my grandson away.
That's
So
right.
that was is that mirror is definitely real.
No question. So how old were you when you actually, stepped out into the streets, man, and started, doing this activity that we all get into. We, at the and we all find out at the beginning and really know that this not for us, but we
Yeah,
still delve into
exactly.
it, talk about it.
Exactly. So I was 13 at the time. I was 13 at the time. Um, I had went, I was going to junior high school. I was going to junior high school 43. So on 129th in Amsterdam Avenue. They call it something else now because they changed all these schools into multiple schools now with all this. But back then it was just junior high school 43. you know,
Absolutely.
and that's how we knew what schools people went to back then by the number of the school. So, a couple of my friends from the East Side whose lives may have mirrored mine, or their lives may have had more bumps and hurdles than mine did, um, introduced me to selling angel dust, because that was one of the big things back then. So
Hmm.
I went out at 13, started trying my hand with that. First day, first day on the block. Soon, and it just so happened that we had finished about a bundle already. Just had a couple of bags left, and the police rolled up on us. Me and a friend of mine, um, he's actually gone right now. He's actually deceased. Um, and him and I, when we got arrested, it was like, damn, this is my first day out here, and I'm getting popped. And I was so young that my grandmother could come to the precinct and get me. She just came to the precinct and get me after the
Yeah.
police kicked me all in my butt and all that and slapped me and up and all this other stuff because I
Yeah.
was still young. So from there, it was like, all right, well, that didn't work, but maybe something else will work. So growing up, I had a friend of mine, his sisters at the time, you know, was messing with dudes that was in the game. And so, they had jobs for us. Like, yo, listen, crack came out. Like, listen, I want y'all to bottle up these bottles and y'all will get paid and stuff like that. So it's like, oh, word, you sit there, bottle up, take about 3-4 hours doing this work, and then you could put, you would get paid, give them the packs, you would get paid $100, $150. And this was like every 2 days. So for somebody in my age bracket, 13, 14 now, this is a lot of money.
Absolutely.
This is a lot of money.
Especially back in the 80s.
Yeah. So this is a lot. this is a lot of money.
You was able to take $1 and buy a whole bag of candy with, for the young ones when we was 7, 10 years old, 12.
Listen, the meal. I remember when I used to go to school before I started doing anything right. My grandmother would give me $2 every day. With $2.
That's
with
how
$2.
grandma's out too. That's true, no question.
Yeah, with $2, I was able to buy hero, juice, cake, and some chips.
Yeah.
It was good. That was oh, you don't want to eat in the lunchroom? Here go $2. You know what I mean? And so sometimes I would spend $1 in the morning and $1 when we went on lunch.
Mm-hmm.
And it was all good for all good for the day. I got into bottling up, doing all this other stuff. After a while, you start meeting other people. And it's like, oh, yeah, like, we can take our money and we can do this. We can buy this. We can do that. And we can do it on our own. And that's exactly what happened.
Absolutely.
So at the same time, my grandmother was getting older. I'm getting older, but I'm getting older in the sense that I'm becoming a teenager. I'm a teenager. So my needs are different. The things that I'm seeing are different. I'm forming an identity. And because now that I'm forming an identity, it's like, oh, I want to have these girlfriends. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to have this. Because now I'm seeing things. I'm seeing dudes driving cars. I'm seeing dudes with chains. I'm seeing dudes with these MCM jackets on, these Fendi jackets, these Louis jackets, these Gucci jackets.
These 8-ball jackets.
Yeah, I'm in the era of the Rich Porters, the Alpos. You know what I mean? The Fergs, the Smoke Blacks, the everybody. You know what I mean? Because Harlem was the place. For me, Harlem was the place, and all we ever did in Harlem was, I was raised. Oh, you from Harlem, so you got to get fly. You got to have money. You got to be this. Like every Friday, you got to get your hair cut. You got to have a mean shape up. You got to, you know what I mean? And that's what
you gotta stop at the rooftop. You gotta stop at SNS. You gotta stop in front of Willie's after you go to the rink or skate key.
Exactly. And it was so crazy because when you up on 155th, and it was so crazy because back then 155th, Blimpie's was on the corner. It was a payphone on that corner. So you had the people from the Polo Grounds and from Colonial. That was their area. That was them, and the rooftop was right there. So when you go in there on Fridays, the experience was like, yo, you had to be there. And if you wasn't there, you wasn't nobody. And in retrospect, looking back at it now, I realized how young not only I was, but a lot of our kids were.
Yeah.
When we were in these places. Like I remember going downtown to like 111th Street and going into a place called Joe Grant, because that's when they had places like the after hours spots.
That's right.
And when you went in there, they would give you a chip for a drink, for your one free drink or whatever else. And when you go in there, this place is like a hole in the wall. But this is where the hustlers were. This is where it was at. This is what was going on. And I didn't realize then how young I really was and the things that I was experiencing. You seen your people sniffing coke. You seen your people smoking coke, smoking a woo, smoking a wooler, or you know what I mean? Or anything else, drinking.
Yeah, for those that don't know about woolers, that was when you put the coke inside the weed, you know what I mean? Or the crack inside the weed. You know what I mean? That's what dudes was doing back then in the 80s.
Yeah, or you can even put it in a cigarette. You know what I mean? Dudes dump some of the cigarette out, put the coke in the cigarette, whatever. So it was a different world. It was a different time, you know. What I can say about that time is that I never went anywhere, and I never was around people that didn't want to see their peers succeed or their peers get on their feet. Um, though the pathway might have been wrong, the intention was great, and the intention was good, because it was like, yo, listen, man, I want to see you up. I want to see you getting money. I want to see you being able to do this. I want to see you being able to do that. The intent was good, but the way that we were going about it was wrong. So
Absolutely.
I grew up in all that. I think first time I hit Spofford was in 1985, and I hit Spofford after I went downtown with another friend of mine who's gone. You know, he was from out of St. Nick. We went downtown. We went to stick up a jewelry store. So back then, jewelry stores didn't have the bulletproof glass up and all this other stuff. The jewelry was just right there on display.
Facts.
You know what I mean? They didn't have no bulletproof glass up and none of that other stuff. You didn't have to get buzzed in the door or anything else like that. Just open the door, walk in, jewelry there. So he went in there, tried to stick up this jewelry store. And dude was giving the jewelry, but we so young, we not paying attention that there's movement going on in the back. So when the movement is going on in the back, and suddenly son pop out, and he got this shotgun, and he was like, yo, y'all get out of here, whatever else. We boogie ran, split up. I'm trying to I get on the A train, headed back uptown. I got a gun in my pocket. I'm young, so for those that never rode the train or whatever, in the A train goes from 59th to 125th express, no stops in between. The thing about the A train back then was that you couldn't walk through the cars. So you had to come out the car to go into the next car to get into another car.
Yeah.
So I got a gun in my pocket, come out the car, and I'm going into another car, and I just hear freeze. Now I'm right there trying to drop gun on tracks, gun hits, train thing, bounces back on platform, get arrested. I'm locked up in the 59th Street Precinct Station. They take me to Spofford. I was in Spofford during a time where it was so crazy. Like, nobody in Spofford was over 16. But your parents could bring you cigarettes and everything else, even though we were kids.
Yeah.
Your parents, they'll bring you cigarettes, give you money and stuff like that on the visiting floor. So I'm in there, stayed in there for about a month, came home. When I came home, you know, we all come home with oh, that wasn't nothing, that was this was light. They gave me 18 months probation. Oh, that was light, that was easy.
Mm-hmm.
It's nothing, shit ain't nothing. I'm
Still
out
think
here.
about everything else but the consequences
Exactly.
that's coming to us too in the near future.
Yeah. At no time do the consequences register. All that registers is that, oh, yo, you was in Spofford. Did you see this one? Did you see this one? Yo, did you see? Oh yeah, I seen him. He was in this one. He was in E3. I was in this storm.
He
I
holding
was,
it down.
yeah. You know what I mean? Oh nah, he ain't going for that. Like he ain't in there. He ain't soft. He ain't doing this. He ain't doing that. Did all that. I ended up getting with a couple of people. This time, I'm not living in the next terrace no more because I don't want to follow my grandmother's rules. So now I come stay with my mother. This time, my mother has fairly gotten some of her stuff together. You know, she went through homelessness. She ended up getting into a building that had just gotten built on 126 in Lexington. So at this time now, her and my two brothers moved into the building. So it's great. So now I can come over to my mom's house and I can chill. You know, like her rules is not like my grandmother rules. She goes out, she goes to work, and in many ways, she's still in the lifestyle where she still parties. She still got her friends that party and things like that. Because at this time, if I'm 14, my mother's only 30. So she's still shaking and baking and moving and grooving. You know, she got her own apartment. Even though she got 3 kids, she got her own apartment. This is what's going on. It's all live. So now I'm over here with my mother. I started selling drugs. I've selling drugs on the west side. I've been selling drugs on the east side. All kind of stuff. So this typical getting picked up on the train. I was down on Canal one day because when we had the cracks was worth more downtown than they was uptown. Ended up, and this is the era of, hey, you come here, stop. Police just grabbing you. Just because they think you look suspicious. We didn't have all of the legalities and protections, quote unquote, protections that they do now. To where no, you can't stop a search. No, you can't do this. No, you can't do that. It was like, hey, you look suspicious. Come here, let me grab you.
Yeah, those things came out of a result of us being violated.
Exactly.
Back in our past.
Exactly. Like we got violated. And our violation was, hey, you gotta live with this, you gotta eat this. You know, so got caught with cracks in the train station, got caught with cracks other places. So it was the going back and forth, going back and forth, going back and forth. So eventually, you know, I wouldn't return to court. I wouldn't do it. It's a few things. I wouldn't return to court, wouldn't do anything like that. And it was so crazy that the warrants and stuff weren't as the system wasn't as proficient as it is now. And even though it still has its kinks and all that, but locating you and identifying you was not as simple as it is now. Like there were so many things that we could do to cheat the fingerprints and other stuff like that we did.
That's
Or,
right.
or cheat the identification to help us still be able to get out, and warrants would be in somebody else's name, or warrants would have to be assigned to your name, but not to you because you didn't give them all the right information and they had no way of really verifying the information, or the process took so long to verify that by the time they got to verify it or
You'd
not
be out
verify
on
it,
R or something.
you was already out. You was
No
already
question.
out.
Like
So
take our fingerprints and take our fingers and bite the tips, bite the
exactly.
skin off. So
Yeah.
and give another name. We used to do all type of stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Like put glue on your fingertips and all that kind of stuff, so that when you printing, your certain parts wouldn't come out or whatever. And they didn't have the technology to go deep into it. But then at the same time, we were still a bunch of kids. So it was like, all right, y'all do what y'all do. So that was the cycle that I was on for a minute. Then in 87, I ended up getting shot. And then I got shot 6 times in front of my building. You know, at death's door. I'm laid up in the hospital. I got a bag on my side. I got a catheter going down my penis, to taking blood out of my kidneys and making sure that I'm urinating and stuff like that. I'm twisted. I'm talking about I'm laid up, hurt up.
Yeah.
And from that point on, it's like, all right, that still wasn't even a deterrent for me.
That's
Because
crazy. That right there should have been the wake-up call for anyone.
yeah, it still wasn't a deterrent. It was like, oh, what? I'm shocked. And I'm still here. Oh, I'm like a hero. Like, damn, he got hit 6 times and he's still here. Oh nah. Like, so now I'm
Feeling
going out.
untouchable.
I'm untouchable. But what it did do is that it gave me a different perspective to be like, yo, I'm never getting shot again. I'm never getting shot again. I'm gonna shoot first. So what happened is I ended up going out to DC. I hit DC like around 1988. Out there with a few people in DC in 1988.
We probably was out there at the same time.
And in the 80s, DC was different. DC was definitely different. And you got to think that
I landed in DC in 85.
Oh, so yeah, you was out there in the midst of startup. You was in the startup.
Yeah.
So, and you got to think that if people put it in perspective, they're like, oh, well, you was born in 71. 71 to 85, 86, 87, 88 is only 17 years.
That's it. It's crazy.
So at the maximum, I was 17 years old, but I'm all the way in DC. I don't know anybody that lives in DC. I'm out in DC selling drugs. You know, I'm coming back. When I'm coming back, I'm fresh. I got money in my pocket. I'm going to the ring. I'm in the ring. And when I'm in the ring, you know, I'm seeing all the other people because that became the fashionable spot, the ring. So now we in the ring. We doing what we do. People seeing us. Got the chains on. This is when cell phones really first came out. I got the big stupid cell phone that come in a case that you gotta have carry on you, look like carry-on luggage.
Yeah, and when you get in your car, you could hook it up to the lighter.
Yeah,
push that thing right in the lighter. Yeah.
So you know, and this is during the time where, you know, when you had the rented, people had rented cars, but people knew if your car was rented because it had license plates that started with a Z. So the renteds had Z plates. So when they be like, oh, no, that car's rented, that got Z plates. It got Z plates on it. They be like, all right, I tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go out to Jersey to rent a car. So people would go to Jersey to rent cars just so that nobody would know if it was a rented or not.
The joint is rented.
Yeah, you know,
mine is crazy how we were when we was young.
Yeah, you know? and it was so sick. Like we'd take these people rental cars and stuff like that. Wouldn't return the renteds. We'd take the renteds. I remember just driving up and down the same St. Nicholas Avenue from all the way from like 155th all the way down to like 116th, just driving back and forth, burning the rented out, speeding in it, doing everything. Really learning how to drive.
I like to always say we think about everything else but the consequences. You know what I mean? It's amazing. Another thing is when I was out there, when I was in DC, I remember the last time I left out of there, you know, not only because I got locked up when I came back to the city for whatever reason in 88, but because NOI, the Nation of Islam, was in the projects that we were in. So Poe was in these same projects. So we were in Paradise and Mayfair Manor, if you remember those projects out there. And the NOI, we just got off the plane and we coming into the court, the projects, and the NOI was out there and they was making citizens arrests.
Yeah.
Well, you know, they would give you a warning. They tell
Mhm.
you, your brothers, listen, the community don't want you in here no more. So that's a wrap. So we didn't listen to that. We came in. My man, he got on the bike. He making sales. They told him about twice. You know, stopped him. Listen, you can't be out here. Until they grabbed him up. You know what I'm saying? Gave him to the authorities. You know, but they was serious. That's the first time I heard about the NOI when I was in DC. I don't know if you had any vivid memory of them out
So
there.
so what happened is like where the NOI was at, and I believe they was out there like northwest and northeast and all that. So what we did was we went to southeast. I used to
Yeah,
be in southeast on 4th Street in Chesapeake. And so one of the things about that is that you can go down the block and go to the right and cross the street. And if you cross the street, you was in Maryland.
that's right.
So that's how crazy it was that I could cross the street and I'm in a whole nother state. So it was different. And NOI definitely was down there and they definitely was heavy, but the lore of what was going on, especially like during that time, was just so great. And there was a whole lot of danger that went with it because the people from DC was like, oh, nah, y'all New Yorkers can't be down here. They call you youngin'. Yo, Joe, where you from, youngin'? Youngin', where you be at, youngin'? And we talking from New York. We like, what happened, B? What you talking about, B? And in the language, the difference in language automatically stood out. So it automatically caused the conflict. And there was always friction. I'm not going to say with everybody from DC, but with some cats, I'm just like, yo, why these New York dudes here? They taken from out of our mouths. No, you had some DC dudes that wanted to join up and link up, but then you had others that was like, nah, it was just opposition. So,
Absolutely. Just like in Baltimore, because I was in Baltimore as well. And you
mhm,
know, they had what they call the stick-up kids. And
yep,
so a lot of us from New York, the Bronx, Brooklyn, Harlem, that was down there, we started bringing the stick-up kids from our area, our boroughs out there with us to stick them up. But a lot of them showed love at the same time. We all were in this distorted, you know,
oh,
system
the
mentally
the
that
thinking,
it was crazy.
the thinking that went into that, right? Saying that you're coming from one place, you're traveling across all these states with drugs to go here and sell drugs. A lot of times in places where you had no connections, you had no roots, you didn't know anyone except for the people that you came with, and so many people lost their lives. So many people never returned home, never made it back.
That's a fact.
So when I look at it and I look at that part right there, and I'm like, wow, like you made it back. And not only did you make it back, like you made it back and you're still here. And even though I'm still here, I look at how many blessings I squandered because I didn't realize like all these things that I can conceptualize and I can put into perspective now. For me,
Absolutely.
it was like, oh, this is the name of the game. But it's the thing is that it's not a game because when you lose your life, that's it. It's over.
It's over.
It's no reset button. There's nothing.
And we have a lot of brothers that you know they can't see they their life is gone.
It,
You
it,
know,
it, it's
their
it's
life
it's
is gone.
it's going all the way. So I ended up getting locked up out there in DC. Did a little short stint, came home, and my thinking is still the same. Because for me, the people that I stayed around and the people that were my major influences were people who felt like this is what we had. And because we're here in Harlem, and because Harlem looks like this, because at the time, Harlem had a bunch of burnt out buildings, had abandoned buildings, had tenements, though it was the Mecca, it still was the ghetto.
Just like the Bronx.
Exactly. And so, because I live in a place that has been identified as the ghetto, I now want the ghetto to be my identity. And that was the trap and the trick that so many of us, I know I myself, fell into. That because I'm here, that means I have to be what is here.
No, so many of us. You said it right. So many of us, as well as yourself. That's right.
Yeah.
Most of us. I would dare to say most of us.
Yeah, and so with that, I came home. So come home on the bike with my friend. We riding around, we doing what we doing. I ended up getting into a car accident. So let me tell you how the car accident goes. I'm riding this motorbike. We shooting up 8th Avenue. When we shooting up 8th Avenue was a two-way street because we up on like 148th, 149th. Lady opens her car door, hits the back wheel of the bike. Bike is getting out of control. Bike is back under control, but now I'm on the opposite side of the street. Hit by a bus, knocked back to the other side of the street, get ran over by another car. Then another car stops short on top of me. This happened in May of 89. When I woke up, it was like July of 89. Woke up, I had been in a coma. When they came to get me, I had a stroke. Now, mind you, I'm only 18 at this time. So 15, I'm shot. 16, I'm out in DC, get locked up to 17. This year is now 89. I'm going to be 18 this year. I'm having a stroke. I've been ran over. I've been bust a vessel in my neck. My legs are broken. My jaw is broken. As a result of the stroke, I had what's called a drop wrist, to where I couldn't even really use my left hand and stuff like that. I had to learn how to use that all over again. And I'm only going on 18. And guess what? That wasn't a deterrent. It's like, all right, boom, let me get back at it. I came out the hospital, I had pins in my leg. I went back to the hospital and they took the pins out. So after they took the pins out, they put a cast on. So a friend of mine said, yo, I got the cast on. I had the cast on for about 2 weeks. He said, yo, listen, the spot is bubbling out of town. Let's go out of town. Cool. But I don't want to go out of town with the cast on. So I cut the cast off. I takes the cast off. Not knowing that I can walk on the leg, but the bone is not healing right.
Healing right. Let me just stop you for a second for that too, because it's crazy you said that, because I used to ride bikes too. And so on my block, I'm riding my bike and I pull up and I'm hitting it. I'm flooring it and I wound up hitting a rock. And it was in the streets. And so as a result, I broke my foot. So I got the cast on. And the next day, I'm outside on the bike again. My mom was cursing me out.
What?
she went AWOL on me when she seen me on that bike again. And I'm in the cast. I'm thinking it's just crazy. Go ahead, though.
The thinking is all the way crazy because it's so much like now I'm taking this cast off and I'm headed out of town. I'm walking on this leg. It's healing at a slant. Like the bone is not in a line, it's healing at a slant because I'm walking on it. Yeah. End up doing all that. That didn't work out. So then I ended up going to South Carolina. I'm going to South Carolina. Same intentions. I'm going to build a mighty drug empire and take over. You know, went down there. South Carolina had another plan. Ended up getting arrested down there, getting locked up down there. During the time while I was locked up down there, some other stuff that was going on in DC that I had thought I left behind in DC popped up. So now, while I'm waiting down there, I end up getting shipped back up to DC. So now I'm in DC. I'm in DC jail. And then they also send me to Lawton. So Lawton was a part of DC it's in Lawton, Virginia. So before they started sending everybody to the feds and all that from DC, they used to send them down to Lawton. Lawton was I don't know how many acres of land it was, but Lawton they had Aquan, they had another part of Aquan, they had the modular, it had about 6 parts to it. And in the 6 parts to it, they were all separate jails, but it was all right there in Lawton. It was all called Lawton. And I'm telling you, like, that was a whole different place. It was a whole different place. So I'm battling up there in court, and then I'm down south in South Carolina in court. Eventually, I get sentenced and get clipped in both places, but I ended up serving my time in South Carolina.
And so how much time did you do?
So I did 5 years. I had a 15-year sentence. In South Carolina at that time, if you had a nonviolent crime, you had to do a third before you went to your parole board. And so I did the 5, went to my parole board. They let me go. Oh, you're going back to New York. So go. Came back to New York. I'm back in New York.
What year was this? You back in New York?
I'm back in New York in 95. I'm back in New York in 95. So from 95, I come home, try to see what was good. Oh, I'm gonna get a job. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. But I still didn't really have
time. You was thinking about a job now.
Yeah.
Your mind was shifting somewhat.
Yes.
To getting out of the drug world, because trying to do right.
Yeah, because now I done did this 5 years, and in this 5 years, I'm all the way in South Carolina. Everybody I know is really up here in New York. So minimal visits, minimal mail, went through a few other things, you know. My daughter was born in 1990. My son, and that's another thing. In between all this, my son was born in 1988. My daughter was born in 1990. So in between all this, these are different things that's occurring. So it's like, wow, all right, let me get a job, do this and that. So I'm right back in the same community though. So I'm right back with the same people. I'm seeing them every day. Yo, Guda, yo, come on, you know you need to get some real money. Let's get some money. So eventually, I'm in the projects, selling drugs, selling crack. Again, in Lincoln. Left from over there. I'm like, yo, the dope money is quicker. come over to the east side. I'm over on 2nd Avenue selling dope. You know, dope, get locked up. But I got locked up, and it's like, all right, you didn't catch nothing on me. You didn't catch me with no money. You didn't catch me with no drugs. It was just all right, we locking you up because you did this, but we don't have you to the right. So, but we locking you up. But you're going to get let go. And they're like, yeah, we know who you are. We know your old address, 25 West 132nd Street. You know, you used to live over there. You know, we know when you lived over there and stuff like that. All right, cool. So I was like, you know what? This New York thing ain't for me. I'm going back out of town. I'll go back to South Carolina. I'll go back to South Carolina, EB, because this time, in my mind, I know where I went wrong before. So I'm going to do it better, and I'm going to do it right this time.
Yeah.
Ended up going back down there, EB. Got caught up in some shit to where I got in an altercation, and a man smacked me. So when he smacked me, I ended up trying to burn down his bar with him in it. Craziness. Ended up doing like 4 years.
Back in South Carolina.
Ended up doing 4 years. Come home in 2001. October 2001, I'm back home. All right. I got to do something different. Every time I'm coming back home, I'm coming back to my mother's house. I lost my grandmother when I was doing the 5-year bid. So my grandmother's not around anymore. So my mom is still around. Here we go. Let me just come back. My mom's gonna figure it out. You know what? I'm not going out of town no more. I'm just gonna sell drugs in New York. That was the thinking. I'm just gonna sell drugs in New York. Ended up catching a case. Got a 3 to 6 for it. Do that. Come home.
What year was that? You came home.
I came home in 2001 in October. Give me 1 minute, EB.
Absolutely. Yeah, so you know, I definitely can understand where Guda coming from because it's something that I define as, you know, this distorted value system I always talk about that we have, you know, as people growing up in the city, in these communities that we grew up in, and you know, we were just exposed to the street life. I can say that there are a lot of us that didn't walk the same walk that people like Guda and myself did. You know, I think we are in a minority. I think most of the people that was around the block where I grew up at grew up in, you know, grew up the right way. Grew up, you know, looking for a job, getting a job, working 9 to 5, you know, doing summer youth, you know, as a teenager. So I definitely understand what you know, where he coming from. You back, right, Guda?
Yeah, I'm back. I'm sorry about that.
That's okay.
So you know, so I'm like, yo, this. I came home in 2001. In 2002, I catch the case. So after I catch the case, got all odd. But after I catch the case, something else transpired to where a friend of mine allegedly broke out of prison. Well, he didn't break out of prison. He escaped from the police in handcuffs on the highway. So they started rounding people up that they said knew him. So when they came to my house, They found a gun in my house. So now I already got the drug case. I already got this drug, the gun in my house, and plus I'm on parole. So it's off to here go this 3 to 6, take this 3 to 6, do the 3 to 6. When I get out, they say, oh, we can't even release you because you were still on parole from South Carolina. So I had to wait
to be extradited.
So they had this company. It's called Transco. It's called Transco. It's Transportation for Corrections. They put me in a van. At this time, when I came home from Franklin, which is in Bear Hill, New York, which the next thing over from that is Canada. You know, a whole nother country. But the next thing over from there. That's how far up in New York I am. So they come to get me. Transco is transporting me. We go down, we drive through New York. They go all the way to the other side up to Syracuse. Now, mind you, I'm going to South Carolina. So they leave from one side of New York, go to the other side of New York. Then we stop. We went to Ohio. We stopped in Ohio, get off the bus, spent the night in jail, in a county jail. The next day, another bus comes and picks us up. This other bus drives us from Ohio down to Georgia. Now in Georgia, they take us to the airport. I get on a plane. The plane brings us back to Pennsylvania. And I'm like, yo, how do y'all figure this out? Like, what is going on? I go from one side of New York to the other side of New York, to Ohio, to Georgia, to get on a plane to come back to Pennsylvania. Mind you, my destination is South Carolina.
Yeah.
I don't understand the logistics of this.
No, but at the same time, you also this still wasn't a deterrent for you. At the same time,
no,
we gotta keep that in mind.
Absolutely.
Still wasn't a deterrent for you.
Keep that in mind that I'm still not broken. I'm still
we mad at the system, but we're not mad at ourselves.
I'm not mad at myself. So from there, they drove us back to South Carolina. So now I'm in South Carolina. I sit in South Carolina for about a month till they end up throwing the parole out. All right, it's done. It's whatever else. Now I got to get back home, come back to New York. Now it's 2005. It's 2005. I'm in New York. I'm not selling drugs no more. I'm going to be a scammer. So
you graduate.
I go in the bank with some bad checks, but they short money. Some bank is going to get arrested. Wasn't home a month. Get arrested. Now I got to do a city bid. Do 8 months. Do 8 months in the 6 building on the island. I'm like, man, damn, that scamming shit. That shit whack. That shit bullshit. I'm going back to drugs. None of this is deterrent.
Not that, I'm getting out of the whole game. I'm going to go back to drugs again.
I'm going back to drugs. Come home. It's 2006. In 2006, and I call this guy my brother. He's in position. Put me in position. It's going great. It's going groovy. Because now I'm selling weight. I'm doing weight sales. My day consists of maybe 5 to 6 calls of 100 grams each. And that's my day.
And it's crazy you say that, right? Because 2006, I was just leaving Clinton to go to Sing Sing in the summer of 2006.
Wow.
Right? And I already had 13 years in on a 25-year to life bid. But go ahead.
Yeah,
And you out there
ex-
coming, you were
exactly,
on your way to me.
exactly. Because like the whole like for many of the brothers that come on and speak, everything was done in one shot. For me, I ended up doing the 20 plus years in bits and pieces because I never respected the fact because the stints were at that time, the longest stint that I had done was 5 years. So it's like, oh, and I was still young.
That was a breeze. That wasn't nothing for you.
It wasn't nothing because I was still young.
Cakewalk.
I went into 19, I come out, I'm still 24. I'm still young. I don't got no gray. I still got hair.
Still young and dumb.
No gray hairs, no nothing like that. I'm, I'm still in the prime of the game. So doing this. Eventually, there was an informant that brought police to us. Now,
part of the game.
I'm part of the game. So now it's 07. Locked back up. Here you go, Mr. Smith. Take this 10 years for your 3A1 felonies. Take this 10 years. And that was on the plea. Take this 10 years.
And that's where I met you.
Yep. So now I come up to Clinton. I went to Clinton. So you was already gone, but I went to Clinton.
That's right.
I'm in Clinton. I'm older now, so a lot of things that I'm seeing in Clinton, I'm like, oh, I'm behind this wall. This is a semi-jungle here,
And I just left.
Yep.
2006.
So I'm there. I got up north. I got locked in 07. I got up north in 08. My number was 08A 0970. I got up north in 02. My number was 02A 03. 02A 03620.
It's crazy how we remember these numbers too.
Oh yeah, like I remember my South Carolina number, everything.
Right.
172737. DC number 246787. Fed number 01308-007. It's crazy.
We reduced ourselves to numbers. That's
exactly. Exactly.
All right. So and you was Clinton.
I'm now in Clinton, 08. So they're like, oh, you ain't getting in no trouble in Clinton. I was working in the tailor shop. They sent me over to Clinton Annex.
Okay.
I'm in Clinton Annex for a couple of months. They tell me one day, like, yo, you got to pack up. Pack up. Where I'm going. So originally they said you going to Green Haven. So I'm like, all right. But when we get on the bus, they're like, nah, you going to Sing Sing. So I'm like, oh, Sing Sing is right at home.
You heard so much about it. Yeah.
Oh, that's right there. People could get on the Metro North, come see me. It's going to be lit. So now when I get to Sing Sing, my plan is I can get some drugs in here. I can get this here. I can do this here because this is right here. I can get somebody to come see me on the dance floor. However I can get it, I can get it because I'm right here right now. I'm close to the city. This ain't 8 hours away.
Yeah.
This is right here. This is a train ride. So I came there with that plan. When I did the intake, Anthony Small, Tone.
That's right. Big up the Tone.
Was doing, I ran into his.
A Fuquan.
Yes. So the first thing that he said, like he's giving the speech like da da da, and he's telling me about all these programs in here and in college and all that. So it sparked the interest. I'm like, damn. I'm like, man, I gotta get some money right now. Fuck that. I'll get back to that if that's all here. But right now I'm here. Let me get these drugs and shit. So the plan worked. But the person that did what they were supposed to do for me didn't let me know that they had my drugs. So now I got drugs on the yard in Sing Sing, but the person who got them for me didn't tell me that he got my stuff. So by all the rules and the dictates of that life inside of there, when I step to this dude, I got to put my knife in him. Because that's what that life in there dictates. If you're going to live like that, because other than that, you a victim for everybody. So while I'm walking down, me in A block, so while I'm walking down these steps, going to the yard, all I'm thinking about is, damn, this is finally it, huh? You finally gonna either get killed or you're gonna just die in jail. After all this, you've been shot, you've been in jail all these times, you've been ran over, you done had a stroke, you done did this, did that, you had other little health issues while you were here. So now this is what the culmination is gonna be, huh? You're gonna go down here and you're gonna just get into this knife fight with this dude and do this to this dude and spend the rest of your life in jail. That's it. And I said, is this what I want to do? And I told myself, no. I didn't know what I was going to do, but I knew that I had to do something different. At this time, I'm 38 years old. I've been going back and forth to jail and been in jail since I've been 14, 15, and I'm 38 now. And I had a GED, and I may have had a couple of college classes. But now I'm going down to this yard. And this situation here is going to determine everything. This is the grand finale. And I realized
that pivotal moment.
Yes, it was that fork in the road. It was that fork in the road. And I went down there. I'm like, yo, bro, you got this, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, listen, I don't want no problem. You got to give me this. You're going to give me this amount of money. You're going to give me a hot pot. And you're going to order this stuff out the catalog and give me this many packs of Newports. And then we're going to be square. Now, once I do it like that, I know that you can't be in this lane no more. I can't be in that lane no more because, oh, nah, it ain't no violence with it. You gonna just let him get away with that? You let him get off easy like that? But to me, it was like, this is my exit. And like I said, I didn't know what I was going to do, but I knew I had to do something different. I got back to 5 building. And I'm talking to Green Eyes, Sean Collar.
Big up to Sean Collar, no question.
And he's like, yo, I heard about what happened in the yard, da 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 da. It's like, all right, you made that choice. Now what you gonna do? I don't know. Said, yo, won't you, see what's up at college? Go down, see what's up at college.
School building.
Yeah, go down to the school building. See what's up. They got an entrance exam coming up. And so now I had always seen you in passing and things like that. It was a, yo, what up? Yo, what up? And so when I get down there, you down there,
Jermaine Archer,
Lawrence Bartley, T. Thomas Edwards, Chris,
Mike Laster.
Yeah. And so everybody that's down there has all these years in, and they got these years in, and they not know, these ain't no fucking soft dudes. These is dudes that was shaking out on the streets. And in the beginning of their bids, they was shaking out. Like motherfuckers know them. But now they sitting in here, they sitting in this classroom behind these computers and things like that. So I took the entrance exam. I passed. So now I'm in school, I'm in college. So wow. And things just began to change for me then. So now I'm seeing the reality of what Anthony Small was telling me in the orientation. Now I'm actually conversing with you. And I'm like, wow. And Mr. Benson is doing this. EB is doing this. And it's not like he's in here and he's some other name or something like that. And no, I'm Eric Benson. I'm here. This is what I'm doing. Sean Kyler, Greenhouse, he is who he is. Lawrence Bartley, Ja, he is who he is. Jermaine Archer, Bang, Kenyatta, all these other people, Briggy, Garvey, everybody, Lamont Bryant, Els, Law Library, my man Chima.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? These are all dudes now that I'm drawing a connection with and I'm building with. And these are all people that come exactly from where I come from. Their experiences have either mirrored mine or in some cases been more drastic than mine. But what they are doing is not letting these things define them. They're not being defined by these things. And that's what was passed on. So now I'm sitting in these college classes. And when I'm sitting in these classes, I'm learning so much. I'm getting language and theory behind some of the behaviors, behind some of my thinking, behind some of the choices that I made. And as much, hey, Robbie, that's my man, Robbie. Right there. Robbie's another great dude. Another great dude. And so when I'm talking and I'm seeing these dudes, and when I have this language right now, I can express it. I have theories, I have psychologies and things to put behind this. I have social constructs to actually see what was going on. And I'm like, wow, this is what it is. This is what it was. And so now when I'm talking to people and I'm talking to y'all and I'm building with y'all, it's giving me perspective. And I remember one of the things, and I learned this, and I never let it go. Learned this in Professor Wiener's class.
Pick up to Professor Wiener. That's right. She just got an award too not too long ago. That's
Professor Susan Wiener said in the class, discomfort is the catalyst for change. When you stop being comfortable where you are, you will change.
Nice. Discomfort is the catalyst for change. Very, very, very important.
You know, and what I realized is that when I was walking down that tunnel, and there was that epiphany that I felt and all that, was the dissonance between what I really was and who I was pretending to be, and how it all went into going against who I wanted to be. And how these things were in opposition. I wasn't comfortable being who I was. And when I looked back at it through life, going back, I realized that I was never comfortable being that person.
That you were, no question.
I was never comfortable being that. It was just easier for me to feign and act like I was comfortable being that because of the expectancy that I felt my environment had for me, rather than the expectancy that I had for myself.
And I like to say back then, man, us growing up as a youth, what we did oftentimes, because you could best believe that we knew right from wrong.
Absolutely.
That's one thing. And a lot of us, like I said, we have similarities. A lot of our mothers, our grandparents, they taught us right from wrong. You know, at the same time, we just went through that journey of what our parents told us, you're gonna learn the hard way.
Exactly.
You're gonna be either underground or in that prison.
That's a fact.
And so we had to learn the hard way. You know what I mean? And we killed those self-accusing spirits, that God that was in us.
Yes.
To live that devil life.
Yes. And the biggest thing, like taking it back to our parents, right? One of the things that I realized and I express to a lot of the people that I work with now, whether it be the families that I work with or individuals that I work with, is that oftentimes our mothers, fathers, even uncles, aunts, or whoever tell us things, but because it's coming from them, we only see them as my mother, as my father. You didn't live life. You're just my mom. You're just my dad. As much as they tell you, oh yeah, this is who I was, or this is what was going on with me, and this is what I've been through. And you my mom. You don't really know. You're like, you don't really know. You don't know what it's like to be. And when your mom or your dad tells you, yes, I do. No, you don't, dad. No, you don't, mom. Because all I see you as is my parent. I don't see you as a person.
Absolutely. I think this is a good time for us to get into this segment that we do as well here at Success After Lockdown.
Okay, on the beat.
So Guda, this is our what we call our cell therapy session here at Success After Lockdown, man. That I think is pivotal, for our growth and development, moving forward in life, in our past, to acknowledge that mental health, that we all go through in life. I like to say that I think that everyone that been incarcerated suffered through some type of PTSD. You know what I mean? And so if you could just give me your ideas, your thought on that.
That's a fact, because everybody that's been incarcerated, being incarcerated in and of itself is traumatic. And I want you to conceptualize, I want people to conceptualize this. Imagine having to live in your bathroom. And in your bathroom, you have your mattress, your toilet, your sink. Remove your bathtub, but just keep the shower in there. And in your bathroom, you are being fed, you're sleeping in there, and everything for hours at a time. And that sometimes you could be locked in your bathroom, not because of something that you did, but because of something somebody else did. And you may be locked in your bathroom for days on end. So just that part is traumatic. The fact that there is very little control and decision making that you can have on the overall condition of your life. As far as you can't go places, you can't just get up and say, you know what, I want to go here, I want to go to the store, and I want to pick this up. No, you can go to the store once every 2 weeks. That's when you can go to the store, once every 2 weeks, when you go to commissary. And if something is not in that commissary, you're just gonna have to live without it, because you don't have any other option, any other store choice but this store choice. The trauma that comes from, if you're fortunate to have visits, of having to see this person walk in and walk out, and knowing when this person is leaving or even coming in to see you, the things that they're doing, like searching them, violating them, trying to discourage them mentally from even coming to support you. And the things that you have to do just to get down there to see that person. Oh, I need a pass. Give me a minute. I'm not writing no passes right now. Oh, there's count. There's this, there's that. So you can't even go to see this person right now. And then when you do go, at every intersection, there's a stop. Hey, stop. Let me see your pass. Let me open this gate. Oh, there's an alarm. There's this. You can't go. And when you get down there, hey, take off your clothes, strip, so we can see what you got on you. All right, go see your family. Now, when you come back, take off your clothes, strip, bend over, cough, spread your cheeks, lift up this, lift up that, open your mouth. Everything is trauma driven inside of prison. Everything from the lining up to go to the mess hall to where it's, hey, you can only have this amount of food. You can't take this out of the mess hall. I might not have anything to eat in my cell, and I want to take the bread out, or you can't take bread out during the lunch meal.
Yeah,
you can't take
throw that in the garbage.
Yeah, throw that in the garbage. And I'm making you throw it in the garbage, not because you're going to do anything with it, not because it's doing something for me or it's doing something to me. I'm telling you to throw it in the garbage mainly just because I can tell you to throw it in the garbage.
Mm-hmm.
It's not for any other purpose because it's going in the garbage. I'm hungry, but your hunger doesn't matter. There's so much distress. Every time you look, damn, are we going to be locked in today? Is the cells going to open today? What's going to happen when I go out here? Oh, I heard on the gallery last night, this person saying that they got a problem with this person. Am I going to get caught in the midst of a knife fight? Is this going to happen? Then I have to find places to where I try to find my enjoyment at. 1 minute, EB. My mom. Fanta. How are you, Fanta?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm good. I'm in the middle of I'm recording for a program called Success After Lockdown right now. I'm recording for a program called Success After Lockdown right now. Can I call you right back? Thank you, director. Bye.
Yeah, we'll only be a couple of minutes now.
Don't worry about that. So that stress right there and that thing, and then having to learn, because so many people tell you that, oh, this is easy. Oh, prison ain't nothing. I can do the time. It's not about you doing the time, because if they sentence you to it, you have no choice. Unless you finish up your appeal or something else like that, or you break out or whatever else, the time has to be done. And physically, you get your rest, you get fed and everything else. The mental trauma that you go through, somebody losing a loved one. And if this loved one is not your mother, your grandmother, your brother, your sister, hey, guess what? You can't get that closure because you can't go to this service. And this person is not that kind of relationship to you, or your son, or your daughter, or something. And who wants to go through losing someone like that?
And even if it is your immediate family, a lot of times the prison will mess up paperwork.
Yes.
Where they won't allow you to go down there to see your mom's off, or your son, or your daughter, or your sister or brother.
And then when you do go down there to see them, guess what? They got, you have to wear all these greens. You have to
fully shackled.
Wear this chain on your waist, and you have to be shackled. So now, when your family is seeing you, even though you're broken emotionally and hurt, all they can see is you being, once again, stigmatized and denigrated in front of them, because you have these chains on, and you appear to them like a slave at an auction block, that you're just being shown off. Like you're just, here it is, and this is what your family member is. Look at this. This is how they have to come say their last respects to their sister, their mother, their father, their brother, their son, their daughter, whatever else, their grandmother. It's all traumatic. And what happens is that for a lot of us, we compartmentalize that tragedy and that trauma, and we just put it away. We compartmentalize it, and then we continue to act and behave in such a way. And that's what I did for a bunch of years. Like, And that's why the behavior was so repetitive, because in many of our communities that we come from, the physical strength is what's lauded as opposed to the mental strength and the mental integrity and the honesty. Oh, you a man, you can't do this. Oh, you a black man. You know what I mean? You can't. So a lot of us didn't even admit that prison changed us and hurt us in so many ways that can't be seen. And through the stress, the disorders that it created. Because we come home, I know when I came home after being on that cycle for so long, still taking showers in my underwear and things like that. I was still, if there's certain movements at night or somebody would come by my room door in my apartment or open my room door, I'm automatically jumping up and things like that because of that stress of from where I had been living for all those years and the conditions that I had been living under all those years, that carryover. And there's help that has to be had. There's honesty that has to be had. And while it has to be had, it also has to be given. We have to be honest about what that experience, especially long term, has done to us, what it's created in us. Now, mind you, it hasn't just created bad things. Some of it that has created some discipline in me. It created in me a need to want to help and assist others with understanding these situations. And even if it's not that similar situation, it could be situations that are similar to it, which is why I work in the shelter system now. And in my client base that I deal with, a lot of them come from backgrounds of incarceration. Many of them come from traumatic backgrounds. So not all trauma is the same. So we can't identify it like that, but trauma is trauma. So though I may not be able to give you the exact assistance for your specific trauma, I can at least direct you to where assistance is at. You know, and it's an understanding that, hey, you've been traumatized, I've been traumatized, I recognize it. I know that in order to overcome this trauma and in order to at least be able to deal with it in a healthy way, there needs to be some assistance. Nobody,
no question,
overcomes this trauma from incarceration or anything else just by themselves. There has to be some assistance.
And there's so many levels of trauma.
Absolutely.
You know, that we could touch upon everywhere, like on the entire scope of trauma.
Exactly.
However, there's so many levels within those that's formerly incarcerated.
Yes.
That the list goes on and on and on. You know, that's amazing as well.
It's definitely amazing when we think that for many of us that were incarcerated, especially if you've been incarcerated, whether at one stretch for a long period of time or whether you're a consistent and persistent recidivist, like I was. I was a persistent recidivist. I kept going over and over and over and over. Regardless of that environmental trauma, because that environment that you're in, that caged environment, that environment where it's always intense, where that intensity always exists, where there's always a question mark of, damn, what could this next movement bring? What action will my words provoke? What action or reaction will my action and or inaction have? What if this officer is having a bad day? What if my cellie is having a bad day for those that were double cell? What if the guy on my gallery is having a bad day? What if I come out and I see somebody in their cell hanging, which has happened? What if I learned that my friend just got killed in another part of the jail. How does all this affect me? And this is on a bigger scale. This is on an interpersonal scale. Not talking about the intrapersonal, which goes on inside of us, to where we're worried about how will I accomplish my dreams after this? What are my goals after this? Where do I go after this? What are my options after I come out of incarceration? Am I going to stay here? Am I going to leave here? And when I say am I going to stay, it's am I staying here mentally and emotionally? Because you can get out from behind the bars physically and still be caged emotionally and psychologically, and in some cases even spiritually, to where you've tied and bound yourself to this cell. You on mute? Okay.
Trauma is very, very important, man. Very, for us to look at, and I'm glad we took some time to go through that. If you could, for me, because our time is a little limited right now.
Absolutely.
Just go through what you've been up to, man, after incarceration, man, and what you're looking forward to in life.
So after incarceration, I was fortunate, like I said, to be a part of Hudson Link, received my bachelor's degree.
Came Hudson Link. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Congratulations on that too.
Definitely got my bachelor's of science in behavioral science. Since being home, I've obtained my master's degree in public administration. Right now, I'm the director of social services at Community Housing Innovations, an organization that works inside of Hudson Valley, Long Island, and also in New York City, the metropolitan area, providing shelters and providing services for families that are homeless, maybe getting ready to experience homeless, and or maybe at risk of something else. So that to deal with being without a home or a place or a stable place to live. So I'm working with them. My journey has been great. I've managed to work inside of foster care with ACS. I had rose up to be a kin gap liaison between the agency that I was working with. Kin gap, for those that don't know, is the kinship assistance and guardianship program that exists and is unique to New York, so that the children of our family members don't have to be in foster care. But at the same time, if you helping them and you're taking them in, you don't have to bear the brunt of that financial burden of having to raise a child or take care of a child. The city funds you. They also provide college for families like that, even for children that get adopted and other things like that. So I managed to work with them. I've managed to work with the Department of Homeless Services, other contract agencies with the Department of Homeless Services, which is the organization I'm working with now is a contract agency with the Department of Homeless Services. I've worked with multiple populations. I've worked with women with children. I've worked with all whole families, families in any sense, adult families, singles. And my current population that I'm working with right now are migrant families. Many of them who are experiencing trauma from migrating from their countries, under whatever circumstance that they migrated under, and acclimating to this new country, trying to identify with the culture, especially here in New York City, and just trying to get their lives on track and assisting them. It's been a great experience for me because I've had to actually work on my Spanish and learn more Spanish, in which I'm still a work in progress, in order to be able to communicate, while at the same time helping them to learn English in order to be able to communicate. So it's been a learning experience on both sides, and it's been wonderful, and it's been wonderful for me because I'm consistently learning, I'm consistently helping, and I'm consistently showing that what you've been through doesn't have to be your identity. You know, we create and we determine who we are based on what our expectancies are. And we build our expectancies by having support and being supportive. And with that support and being supportive, there comes a strength, there comes an acknowledgement, there comes resources, there comes everything that helps us to change and build integrity, build character. So it's been wonderful. It's been dynamic. Um, I'm hoping to become a program director and also build on other organizations that I've been a part of, such as the East Side Consortium of Entrepreneurs, which is headed by and founded by one of my sisters. Her name is Monique Jones. Shout out to my sister Monique Jones.
Shout out to Monique. No question.
Who's building that. I have another friend of mine. His name is Anthony, and one of my other sisters, her name is Anika, and we have the Harlem Empowerment and Life Skills Program, to where we reach out and we try to help people learn life skills and do things like that. So shout out to my man Aunt Valley from out of St. Nick, and my sister Nika, you know, for doing these things, letting me be a part of these things. So there's growth coming, there's development coming, not only inside of the systems that are already in place, but outside of them in our grassroots organizations that are determined to help people that look like us, that feel like us, that live like us, and that have these traumatic experiences, regardless of race, color, location, or anything else like that. Because if you empower one, eventually you will empower all.
That's right. Absolutely. And listen, right there, man, is why I'm just blessed and just glad to be able to create this platform for brothers and sisters like you and I. You know, because you are actual testament of showing society that right here, just right here, this is going on all over the world, all over this country. I mean, but this state alone, we are the reasons that this recidivism rate is going down.
Absolutely.
We took ourselves off that cycle. We took ourselves off off of that wheel. And I'm here to highlight those men and women like yourself that you know, and show your success in your own right by coming home, staying home, and giving back to the community positively.
That's
I want to tell you that I'm proud of you, Guda. You know what I'm saying? Just for taking that transition, going through that transition, because guess what? Like it's not easy, you know, and like I said, a lot of us come out of those communities and you know, those areas where we just had to learn the hard way, man, under circumstances. But look where you at. You here, you allowed to tell your story, and we want the world to know, you know, that listen, there are those of us that are here and we stand. You know what I mean? And we no longer contributing to the recidivism rate. If you have anybody that you want to, like, you know, shout out or tell our audience, tell our followers, family, friends, you know, where you can be reached, like, just go for it, man. Give it all to us, man. That's after lockdown.
So you know, I'm on Instagram, I'm on IG, I'm on Facebook. My name's the same. On Instagram, you see Not Easily Broken 126-132, something like that. My page is open. Everything else like that. My email, you can always reach me at samsmith1727@gmail.com, or even at my work email, smith@communityhousing.org. You know, I can be reached at any time. I'm still in the neighborhoods. I'm still around. I'm always a resource.
Always approachable.
Yes. Yeah. I've always, and I've been in a position to where I've helped some people in the community get jobs. They come through me, they ask for jobs. I ask them about certain certifications. I'll put you on to where to get the certifications. I'm always on board to help and be a reference or anything else or a guide. And I'm here, and I'm here for everybody. And I'm going to be here for everybody because we help each other. And my success is dependent on the success of the people that I'm around. There's no I in team, you know. That
Absolutely.
we succeed, we win together, just like we lose together. Because when they see me, I want them to see you. When they see y'all, I want them to see you. I want them to see me. Because we are mirrors of each other, just like we were mirrors of each other in other lives, living in other ways. We need to be mirrors of each other now in positivity and upliftment and empowerment. And that's what I'm about. I can
No
be reached
question.
anywhere. You know, my number has always been my number. I don't get into changing my phone numbers and all that other stuff because that's not the life that I live anymore. My life is just a regular, straight up, above board life. I have causes that I'm strong about, such as reentry. Reentry is one of my biggest causes. One of the things that I'm definitely an advocate for, and I definitely fight for. I definitely fight for people to get employed and to have jobs, to give them an alternative, because you never know what you can do till you start doing it. You know,
Absolutely. And family
I'm here.
first.
And
Family first.
EB, I thank you, EB, for allowing me to be a guest and also for the things that you're doing and for having this platform. I think the brother Lawrence Bartley, he has the Marshall Project. I know
That's
Sean Collins, he works for the Vera Institute of Justice. I know the brother John Dukes, if I'm not mistaken, he just created a digital platform in a digital space that exists to where you can interact, and it's interactive. It's an interactive space online. So shout out to the brother
that's
John
right.
Duke.
Shout out to brother John. No
You know what I
question.
mean? And
No
there's so
question.
many of us that are doing things. Our Bill works with the youth. The brother Anthony Small, he works with the youth. He
That's
has
right. My son
he has
Smalls, a mentor up in
yes,
Buffalo. Shout out to my
yeah,
son
shout,
Charles
shout,
Moore.
shout out. Exactly.
Listen,
So
we have all the
there's
brothers, man, that we came up under, that grew
yes,
up with us, that I'm just proud of, man. And just to hear everybody's story on this side, because listen, on the other side, where we were growing up at, a lot of times we didn't get to tell these stories like we do now. And so I begin to, look back and notice the things that you telling me, and remember when you first came to Sing Sing and how you grew and watched you grew, because
exactly,
we watch all our brothers grow, because that's what we
exactly.
did. You know what I'm saying? Our passion was, going to that yard,
Oh,
finding those brothers that was on that borderline. Even if you're not, man, come down to the school building, come to the
that's a fact.
organization, because we knew once you come there that there was going to be some type of change that occurred within the psyche, within your mind. You know what I mean? And that's what happened, and that's what we did. We did it naturally. It was organically, because it
It,
came from our hearts and souls.
that's a fact. That coming down to that school building and seeing it and getting the language and getting the resources and then saying, wow, I got this, and reaching back. Because I think about like brothers like my man like Remo, you know,
That's
that
right. Pick up the Remo.
yeah, you know, Corey, Ghetto, like that. These brothers that was reached back to,
That's
they
right.
did certain things. Even I'm talking about even brothers that I may not remember their names or whatever. That from what you and the other brothers passed to me, I was able to pass to them, and then they passed it on,
That's
which is
right.
why,
Big
which is
up the
why
junior. Big up the junior. Still in Sing Sing, man.
you,
Oh, June,
yo,
man.
big
In his
up to Junior.
education, no question.
Big ups to Junior. You know, and when I see these brothers, it's so real because you can see the transformation. Just like you watched it in me, I watched it in them. And to understand that, damn, I was part of that facilitation. I was part of being that component and that agent for change with them. It's nothing like that feeling. So this is
And
why I do.
we have an empire out here as well doing the
Yes,
same work, man. And
yes,
I'm proud to see that, man, within us. And I'm gonna continue doing what we do because I'm bringing this to the networks. This is coming to the network sooner or later. We will be, shooting this reality, man. And you were part of it. You definitely will be. I'm definitely gonna stay in touch. We stay in touch, Guda. You already know. This our first time actually seeing each other for the first time.
exactly.
But we still stay in touch, We still stay
Absolutely.
in touch on that social media, man, and gave shout outs to each other, man.
Absolutely. All the time, because one of the things is that if nobody else acknowledges the accomplishments and the successes of my brother, I'm going to do it. You know what I mean? And my brothers are going to do the same for me. And this is how the way that we treat each other, we give people the blueprint on how to treat us and how to show us because they watch how we treat each other. So it's like, oh, wow, like, yeah, he's acknowledging his greatness. There's no ego involved. There's none of that involved. It's about greatness, sponsoring greatness, which sponsors even more greatness.
Absolutely. Facts. So that well said, man. Well put. I couldn't have said it no better. Again, success after lockdown, it's a family. We definitely look forward to having you back on soon too, Kuda.
I look
So
forward to
let's
being
stay in
back
touch.
on.
Let's stay in touch. I don't remember, but I did lose a lot of my contacts a couple of years ago. I know I probably got your number when I first came on, but we got to reconnect our numbers back again.
Oh, yeah,
so
like
just text it to me. Send it to me. I'll
gotcha.
send you mine, whichever one, man, on
I'm gonna
Instagram,
send you
whatever.
mine.
No
I'm gonna send
question.
you mine.
If I remember once we get off, I'll send you mine. Vice versa, lock it in. We lock it in. We locked in. We good. Another successful, hour and a half, whatever it was. We live streaming on all social medias. We on YouTube. We on Spotify. We on Anchor. We on Instagram. We on Facebook. We on LinkedIn. We everywhere, man. So no question, Guda. Appreciate you and looking forward to our next visit, man. Be safe.
Appreciate
to
you too, brother.
family, man. Happy New Year and happy New Years to come.
Absolutely, absolutely. And all the same to you, brother. Wishing you the best. Success after lockdown. It's what it is, brother.
And we out. HBO, baby.
You already know Harlem, baby.